Anybody looking for help with interior design, that's what I'm here to do.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Bill Jordan here, another episode with Keeping America Beautiful. That's an important thing today because America needs more beauty than ever. It's a beautiful day, I guess almost a spring day here in New Jersey. And, sun is out, trees are looking like they're going to bloom. And we have a unique flower today. We have a flower all the way from, well, I'll let her tell you where she's from, but her name is Dorene. Dorene Mangels. Hi, Dorene. How you doing?
Hi, Bill. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So, where are you from? You're from what city?
I'm from Kearney, New Jersey.
All right. Cool, man. That's right up the road. Because I live in Newark, and we're both of us are on the Alignable Network, right?
Yes, that's right.
How'd you get involved with Alignable?
I'm not even sure. I don't know I don't know how they reached out to me or how I saw it. I'm not sure. I've been on it a little while. Only recently has there been more and more activity.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I don't often check into it, but I try to be searchable and out on different social networking sites.
Okay.
Just so that my feelers are always out there.
Right.
Anybody looking for help with interior design, that's what I'm here to do.
All right. So now tell us about how did you get into the biz?
I started doing interior design kind of unofficially. I grew up kind of seeing my dad do it. So I would go on different job sites for installs back in the 80s. And that was kind of what sparked my interest, I guess. And then after he stopped doing it and had passed, when I graduated high school, I got into painting teeth, actually.
Painting teeth? Come on.
My first full-time job was at a dental lab where I painted teeth. So
okay.
Bridges and crowns. I've always been artistic. So that's kind of how I started out. And then from there, I just didn't feel like doing teeth anymore and wanted to go back into more creative ends. There's only so much you can do on a tooth. They just want it to match their face. So
Right. Well,
yeah, you're not painting any little murals or anything on there. It's basic.
Well, it depends who you're working for. Some people might like that,
Well, I don't know. Not at that time, and not in that Parsippany location. It was pretty general.
Okay. And so, your dad, was he an interior designer? What was his trade?
Yes, he did. And in the 80s, when it was just kind of, I don't know, it wasn't really big yet, but he was doing design work, doing custom window treatments, the fancy stuff up in the Bergen County area, doing Upper Saddle River, Alpine area.
Well, I'm from Bergen County. I work those areas. That's big rent areas up in there.
Yeah, that's where I grew up. I grew up in Waldwick, and
oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
I grew up in Englewood.
Okay. Yeah. So I just started out going with him on job sites, and he would hang blinds and draperies and do window treatments, custom bedding. Back then, everything was matchy.
Yeah. Yes. The 80s matching.
Yeah, basically, if your house matched, it meant you had money.
Well, you got two of the three M's, right? Money, matching, and marriage.
Yeah, it was all that's how it was. And basically, when a style changed every 3 to 5 years, it was dump everything, start over, because everything was still supposed to match.
Exactly.
So that was the style back then, and now it's kind of the opposite. Basically, now it's cheaper furniture companies that offer packages and, things that match. And that's not really the look that people are going for, or the part that symbolizes a status or something that you've accumulated over time. Now more people are going in towards a collaborative effort and something that looks more curated over time.
What do you mean by that? You mean like a distressed piece of furniture?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Do you mean like a distressed piece of furniture? They distress it to make it look older?
No, no, it doesn't have to be like that shabby chic look, but I'm saying like more so things will look like they've um like you've picked them up along your lifetime. You know, if you
Okay.
traveled, you pick up an antique or something somewhere else. Like, even if it's a new piece of furniture, people are focused more on the quality and having it for, some generations. There's still people who are investing in furniture that when the fabric that is on there currently gets tattered, they'll reupholster it. Um, More people are becoming more earth conscious, so not so much disposable furniture where you buy it cheap and throw it to the curb when you move.
Right. Yeah, I
You
guess,
know,
I
you
guess,
want you want something that's going to be comfortable.
I guess, but still, IKEA is still making a bundle, right?
Oh yeah, but there's a place and there's a part for, IKEA is great for budget saving and stretching a budget,
Hmm.
and they have that Scandinavian clean lines modern
Yes.
thing that they have going for them, and they're saving people money because you're assembling your own furniture. Not everybody can figure it out by the
Well,
pictures.
right. Yeah, I'm one of those guys. So tell me, what do you account for the shift in the between the 80s and now, other than the dates? Is there a shift in consciousness? Shift? Does it happen every now and then? How does that work out?
Well, I think the economy has shifted, so people don't have the disposable income necessarily to get rid of everything and start fresh every 3 to 5 years. Like, that's just not a feasible thing. And even if it was, people don't necessarily want to throw more stuff in a landfill. So they'd
Oh, I see.
rather
Right, right.
acquire more quality pieces. And you kind of start out and you build upon your space. So if you start out with a couch that you love and it's in a neutral color or a favorite color, then from there you'll branch off. And maybe you won't spend as much money on every piece, but the pieces that you're going to sit and watch TV or sit and enjoy your family with, if you're sitting on it multiple hours a day, if you don't buy a quality piece of furniture for that, the furniture is going to break down very quickly and look ratty.
Oh, I see. So in other words, what I'm hearing you say is this: you have to get you start with a central piece, right? Like maybe like you say a couch, and you build out from there. Is that how you do it?
Yeah, exactly. That's how I like to do it with a client, because it's like, you're going to spend time. Unless you don't ever go to your house and spend time and you're always on the road working, then maybe you don't care that your furniture is cheap, and not even so much cheap, but like if the quality isn't in a piece of furniture, and it's not that every piece has to be, high end or anything like that, but I'm saying, like, if you're not spending a lot of time, or you're a single person who doesn't entertain a lot and your couch maybe doesn't get as much use, then you want to prioritize, like, if you have a special spot where you like to sit in a recliner, then you would spend the money on the recliner and less money on the couch, because you're like, oh well, the couch is kind of there for once in a blue moon if someone stops in, because who's going to want an apartment, a sad little apartment, if you had one chair for one person and one table with one chair? It would, you kind of want to invite people in it from time to time, but even if your sole function is just you live there by yourself, you wouldn't necessarily want to have just one chair and your
Right.
TV.
You need two chairs, one to prop your feet up on, right?
Well, or a recliner, but you want at least someone, like, if someone did pop over to say hi and see what you're up to, you want to offer them a place to sit. You don't want to pull over a milk crate and be like, cop a squat. It's like,
Yeah. Well,
thanks for stopping by.
I mean, I guess I'm in the milk crate decor, but so now that's a good. I'm glad you brought that up because I'm just curious. Like people have like to me, the design has to be functional. You know what I mean? Like you just said, it's functional to the person, not just functional to like the fact that there's furniture.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely like to coordinate a space that reflects the person who's going to dwell in it. So if it's a single person who's, having company come by once in a while, or if it's a family or a couple, you want the space to function for them. It's like, what's their lifestyle? Do they, binge Netflix? Then they're going to want a comfy couch. If they're more active and they're out mountain biking all the time, then, maybe their, furniture is less important to them, but their bed is more comfortable because that's where they're going to rest when they get back.
Right, 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 right. So, Dorene,
You find out what's important to the person's lifestyle. If they work from home, then maybe they put more money into their office.
okay, all right. And so I guess when you meet a client or a patron or whatever you want to call the person, you have a conversation with them. Is that what happens?
Exactly. You have to
So,
ask some investigative questions to find out what they're going to use the space for.
okay.
Just because it's a one-bedroom apartment or a studio doesn't mean that it's just going to, have a little kitchenette and a bed.
Okay, so let's make believe that I called you up and I have a 3-bedroom house and I want you to help me. Okay. So
Okay.
ring 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 ring. Come on in, Doreen. How you doing?
How are you, Bill?
I'm doing great. So can you help me out?
Absolutely. What's going on in your 3-bedroom house? Do you have a family?
No, not really. I have people coming over with kids every now and then, but I don't have any myself.
Okay. Do you have a big family that comes to visit?
No, not really, but maybe they will now since I got 3 bedrooms.
Okay. So you're sizing up.
Yeah,
You're
yeah. Most people are sizing down. I'm sizing up, right?
you're sizing up. So you're expanding your space. What
Yes.
do you what do you see for yourself for the 3 bedrooms? You're gonna use one for yourself to sleep, and what do you plan on
Well, yeah,
using the other two for?
I have like an office space and another room, like a little den thing. So I don't need this. So I have really two free bedrooms, for guests or yeah, for guests.
Okay, so you're gonna have one sole bedroom for yourself, and then the 2 guest bedrooms.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. So basically, it would kind of depend on what your style is, or what things you're drawn to.
Hmm.
Do you have any existing furniture that you'd like to see used in the space?
Well, yeah, I got some stuff I got here. So I got some guys from English country. I got some of their furniture. I have some Duncan Fife, and I have an eclectic sense of furniture.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And is it a similar like mahogany wood tone that you're carrying throughout, or are you gonna change the colors of certain
Well, I don't know.
pieces?
That's why I'm bringing you in. I'm not sure how that's going to play out for me.
Excuse
But
me. I
let
have a
me just
meltdown happening.
wait.
Get out.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
get up. Doreen,
My cats are misbehaving in the background.
Doreen, it's okay. I got the idea. I just want to give people an idea how you go about it. We're not going through the whole thing, but it's very interesting. I've never been on that side of the fence. I've been on the other side.
Well, part of why I got started is I'd like to bring more awareness to interior design where
Okay.
people shouldn't, if you're planning on redoing something in your home,
Yeah.
the first instinct shouldn't be to go to Home Depot and go it alone.
What
You
should
know, like
what
if you just moved into your apartment
yeah.
and the walls are bare and you want to, bring a little of your own personality to it, unless you're already a creative person, someone kind of needs someone to guide them to help them figure out which colors look good, what's worth investing in. If it's just a temporary home, what can we do to spruce it up
Well,
without
let, let,
losing our
let's
security deposit?
let's talk about that. I mean, you know, I see a lot of people. I've seen a lot of people. They'll go to a store and they'll buy paint, and they'll have paint a color that's very strong, very saturated color,
Mm-hmm.
and they put that in the walls. Ladies, for people who don't know, saturated means it's a very strong color, like a bright red or a bright blue or something like that.
Yes.
It's a very saturated color, and they're saying, "Look at my walls. Look at the room. What's up with that?"
Yeah, it's hard. Well, that's the thing. It's like it would be better if people would consult with us before they pick a paint color,
And
because that's a lot of what happens is someone picks a color because they liked it on a chip in a little, smaller than a postcard, and then when they apply it the four walls of their house, they're like, okay, now that's very whatever color it is, Like
right,
they're like, wow, it's not what I expected. Or now that I'm sitting in the room with the sunlight coming in, I look like I'm glowing a similar color to it. Like,
yes,
so
right,
that, they kind of like they love the color in a small piece. And then when they threw it up everywhere, they kind of feeling overwhelmed. And then a lot of
right,
times people will call us right after they freshly painted and they'll be like, okay, this is how far I got. Now what? Like, how do I make this work? Or how do I pull off the look that I saw on Pinterest? Like how do I get this to incorporate with my style? This is my favorite color. And what, because, I could tell you what looks good together, but I want to pull out your personality. So if your personality is, you picked purple walls that are like the color of Barney, and you're like, okay, now what do I do? It's like, what couch can I put with this? Now
well,
they're feeling like they don't know what's next.
you have to get
Where
the
it's like,
you have to get the lime green couch, Dorene.
it depends.
Right.
But if it is very saturated, you kind of want to tone some things down, because if you have everything so intense, then when people come over, it's not really a restful, relaxing space.
Right, and
It's
that's
more
what
of an
I'm
energized space where
right.
those colors might look great at a gym,
Yes,
or at a daycare. But when you come home after working all day, you kind of want your eyes to rest and, you know, feel a little neutralized. So if your color is, say, like purple, deep purple walls and whatever, but now you're like, well, now that I'm in here, it's so dark. So now we're going to figure out what kind of lighting to go with.
okay,
You're going to figure out how to tone down the purple a little bit by maybe doing solid drapes or a solid color neutral couch to kind of, break up some of the, the vivid color.
so
Different wood tones,
right, right,
instead of maybe going with darker wood tones or espressos and stuff. If your color is that deep and saturated, you might want to go with birches and maples or painted furniture. That'll kind of brighten up the space, because you don't want it to seem now too much like a dungeon, where if you don't get enough natural light, that it's super dark. So you want to make sure you bring in plenty of artificial light, whether it's incandescent or LED, halogen. You don't necessarily want fluorescent at your house, but you want something that's like warm and inviting. But now that your color is expressed, you don't want the rest of the house to look dark or pale in comparison. You want to figure out now how to incorporate, say that's your purple living room, like how are we having that room relate to the dining room right next door?
yes, and
You
that's
know, are
and
you
that,
going to carry over some of that purple? Maybe we do it in the upholstery in the chairs,
yes,
or a piece of artwork. You kind of want that color to repeat somewhere, not that your house becomes like a circus where each time you go through a doorway, it's like, ta-da, something new is happening and more
well,
confusing. You want to give it a cohesive feel where when you go from room to room, even if the only thing that really repeats is, say, your white trim or something, you want to at least repeat something throughout the space. And ideally, if you can incorporate some of that more saturated color, but in a like a coordinating color or like an adjacent color, it'll kind of tone it down a little bit, but
right,
still
right,
have your
right,
eye remembering that color so that it carries you through the house.
right. So now, I mean, you gave out a lot of information there, and I think that anyone listening who didn't understand it should call you. How can I get in contact with you anyway?
The easiest way is through my cell phone, 973-229-3286.
You said is
You can
that
either text me or call me directly. The other way is to go through my email, which is Destin for Interiors. It's DESTIN, the number 4, Interiors, INTER, What?
And what's that number again? 973 what?
973-229-3286.
All right. So now I see now they get your money's worth. They get their money's worth already. They haven't spent a dime. They get their money's worth already. They know not to use saturated colors.
Well, it's not that you can't use them. It's just you should use them in moderation so that your space feels balanced. No
Okay.
matter
Now,
no matter what your style is. You know, if it's modern, country, contemporary, um, bohemian, you know, you name it. If it's whatever they want to call it, transitional, you know, not everybody's always like one fits into one category. We tend to be attracted to more than one taste. You know, you're not necessarily like textbook anything.
right.
So it's like you want to incorporate what you like, plus the lines of the furniture that you're drawn to.
Okay.
And then that's how, you know, in interior design, you want to make it look cohesive and not jarring to the eye.
Now, did you pick up all this knowledge like on the fly? You go to school? How did that come about?
Well, some of the basics I picked up, I guess, just naturally from watching my dad do it.
Uh-huh.
And then I went back to school after I started doing custom window treatments.
Oh, you did customs. Okay.
Yeah, I did custom window treatments out of Upper Saddle River for a few years after the teeth painting. And and my boss that then was telling me, don't give the interior designers the answers because they're getting big dollars and you're not, so don't do their homework for them. So at the time, designers were charging about $350 an hour.
Wow. Big
Um,
bucks.
yeah, that was pretty normal in the early 2000s. So
Has
I
that has
decided
that
to go back to school.
has that shifted since then?
Now there's more of a broad range, you know, celebrity designers and people who are in the business a super long time might still justify charging, you know, $200, $300 an hour. But more so, people are coming into this to do home staging or to help just regular people. So, like my rate, I start with a consultation fee of $150, and it gets people 2 hours to pick my brain and to kind of go through your space, whether it's one room or your entire house, you know, whatever you want to focus on. And then after that, it's $50 an hour. And for $50 an hour, I'm either going shopping with you, doing floor plans. You can help organize a space because most of the people tend to have too much stuff. So, you
So
know, their rooms get overwhelmed.
how do
So I'll
you
come in.
how do you advise them when they have too much stuff? What do you ask them to do? Like you give it
Sometimes
away?
it's a matter of paring down if they're
Yes.
not using everything, you know, designate the space for what it's intended for. You know, sometimes people have like a catch-all room, which is like this, you know, 180 square feet. Instead of it being a junk drawer, it's like a whole junk room sometimes.
What about that fear of like I might need it next week if I throw it away?
Well, chances are if you haven't touched it and it has dust on it for, you know, multiple cleaning sessions and that room just the door gets closed,
Uh-huh.
chances are that's a black hole. And if you look around when we're driving around in the area and pretty much throughout the country, we have so much abundance that we're building buildings to store our stuff.
Yes, I know.
You
I
know,
agree with
why
you.
pay for self storage? If you don't need it, donate it, get rid of
But
it, sell it.
I might need
Someone
it.
else might love it.
I might need it, man. You never know.
But if you're paying to have it stored off site or you're cluttering your garage and can't use your garage as a workspace or a park a car space and it's just literally like wall to wall and floor to ceiling boxes, then you don't even know what you have. So to say you would need it, when you need it, you won't even be able to find it or know where to look for it.
So now here's a question that we spoke about this before we started. Why do you do interior design?
Well, I like the creative end of it and I like to help people to figure out what the best use of their space is, and to make the use of the space not only function but look fabulous.
So how does that make you feel when, you finish the job, everything is just the way you want it? How does that make you feel?
Well, I think my purpose in life is just to feed off of my before and afters.
Okay.
Whether I take a picture or don't take a picture, in my mind I know where it came from and where it arrived at. So that's always gratifying. And when your clients love the space as much and they're happy to come home instead of dreading coming home because, when they walk through the door, it just feels like overwhelm.
Yeah, I'm back to this place. Oh, humdrum.
Yeah, it's like when going to work starts to feel more relaxing because you don't have the cluttered spaces or
Yeah.
the to-do list or, the pile of mended sewing that you never dropped off at dry cleaning kind of thing. It's like, if you haven't dropped it off and it's been 6 months, you haven't missed that piece of clothing. Just
No.
get rid of it. Like, you
No.
have too many pieces already that you don't need it. And when people's closets are busting at the seams, or when you pull a drawer open and you can't even find what you want because as soon as you pull the drawer open, things are balling up and, overflowing, you're like stressed out. You can't even pick out what you want to wear for the day.
Why do you think people are like that?
Well, I think it starts out as a sense of control and then it snowballs into something out of control.
Yeah. I mean, like, based upon what you're saying is the nation's out of control because we have super storage spaces, just stuff just sitting there no one uses.
Yeah. And you think about it, it's like someone decided, wow, look how much stuff I have in my garage. And maybe their spouse was like, I want to park the car in the garage when it's winter so I don't have to clean snow off of it. And
Yeah.
they were like, well, what am I going to do with this stuff? And then someone's brainstorm was, let's make big buildings that are like garages for everyone, that they don't have to look at their stuff.
It's only in America, Don King. Only in America, man.
I think so, because I don't know, when I go on vacation, I don't see mass amounts of self-storage places.
Wow, man. That's a whole nother conversation, right?
But it's something like, it becomes something that people stress over because,
Yeah.
like, first you feel like you've arrived because you can afford to buy things, and then your things take over your space, and then you buy a bigger space, and then you keep outgrowing your space when really your function doesn't change. If you're still just a couple or you have a small family, it doesn't, the need for, 2,000 square feet really hasn't changed. Like, when you think about it, when we all grew up, it's like, if you had one bathroom for, a family of 5, that was fine.
Yeah, but not
Now
now.
it's like, if each person doesn't have their own toilet,
Oh
we
my
must not be
God.
doing something right. And it's
No.
like, you're only in there a few minutes or, an hour. If you take a long shower to get dressed and all this, like, you know, for the amount of hours that it sits empty and the time you have to spend cleaning it each week, like, do you want more than one sink in a bathroom? Everybody thinks that that's the thing to have in a master, but really, if you're the person cleaning it, it's like, thanks for dirtying the second sink. Now I have 2 to clean.
Right, right, right. Well, see, if you got 2 sinks, that means you got someone to do that for you. That's the story on that.
Not necessarily. It's basically a thing to have in a master suite, but as far as I'm concerned, I don't want my spouse in my bathroom when I'm getting ready.
Okay.
If we have a second bathroom or a half bathroom, if you need to use it, go to that bathroom. I don't want you hanging over my shoulder when I'm brushing my teeth, and I definitely don't want you using the lavatory while I'm brushing my teeth.
Say, get away from me.
Yeah, like that should be your sanctuary, your private space. That's
Oh,
why
okay.
there's a door on it.
All right. Hey, remember
So,
that? Remember that movie? What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
yeah, that's how the master should be.
All right. So now we got. Let's move on here. Um, okay. What do you call? I mean, what in your opinion? What is interior design as opposed to interior decorating? Is there a difference?
Well, interior designers are someone who's gone to some formal training and has some sort of a degree in it. Really, anybody who decides that they have a talent for decorating can decorate. But when you go to school for interior design, you're not just learning to throw together, bedding and pillows and window treatments. You're also learning how to make a space function. You're learning how each room should relate to each other so that the house has a certain flow. You're also sometimes coordinating with an architect as to what walls should move or move a doorway or widen a space. Like everyone thinks open floor plan is the thing, but if you have an open floor plan, you have to now make every functional space work cohesively because you can see every inch of it from one set spot.
Right.
No matter which part of the room you're standing in, it should relate to the other part of the space. If you have a kitchen open to a family room, you don't want it to look like two things jammed into one room. You want it to look like two functions that are working together.
So it's sort of like it's like a monochromatic in a way that you can't deviate too far out of a certain range, otherwise it'll look weird.
Yeah. And that's when someone does an open floor plan, they tend to um, choose a one color to kind of span the whole space. Like you can't just break up a wall and slap a piece of trim on and be like, all right, this is zone 2 and we're changing the color of the room even though there's not a change in the plane of the wall.
Right.
That would look odd. You can change the feel of the space by maybe making one alcove have, say, like a wainscot or something to give it a more formal feel. But you really wouldn't just break in and go a whole new color scheme in a different corner. And another thing that people don't think about when you're, when you're just doing decorating, you're mostly doing shopping and that kind of thing.
Yes.
Things that are already created. And when you have a design background, sometimes you're customizing furniture or you're taking older pieces and either reupholstering them or modifying them to fit a new need, like giving it a whole new life.
Yes.
Where like people take an old buffet or something and turn it into a vanity in a bathroom now.
Oh, really?
Just have the top cut and have the drawers shortened so that the plumbing can fit and it has a more furniture feel to it.
Yes.
Not everybody likes built-ins, but they want the furniture feel, even though you're going to screw it to the wall.
Wow. So these are the kind of insights that people can get when they work with someone like you.
Yes.
Well, I'll rephrase that. These are the insights they get when they work with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now, Dorene, what is the purpose, do you think, of interior design?
Well, interior design is supposed to kind of bring your outside in and your inside out and have, the front of your house represent the inside of your house. So it's like we look at everything starting from your curb appeal to what you're presenting to people, how your entry is once you come in through your foyer.
Okay.
You want that to kind of be like your intro, like how before you were saying, your house is like your whole story.
Yeah.
Well, you want your entryway and coming up the path to be your intro.
Yeah, right.
That's like your sneak preview telling the neighbors what your personality is. If everybody on the block had an identical house, what would set you apart? Is your house going to have a fun colored door? Is
Yes.
it going to be
Right.
a wood door with a stained glass window in it? You kind of want your house to have a little bit of your personality from the outside.
Right.
And then when you, from an interior design standpoint, just because you have all the pieces, the bedroom, the kitchen, the bathroom, the dining room, and say if you have kids, you have a playroom or something, like just because you have all those spaces, if they're not well organized and put together in a type of way that functions for your family, then it's not going to work, and you're going to find that you tend to clutter in one space because it's not how you need it to function. Like if you have a big family, people are going to want like a drop room, like a mud room or something, where
Right.
maybe they don't come through the front door because they have 4 kids. You know, they want to come in off the driveway or through the garage and dump all their children's stuff there. Or if they're a business person, you know, that's where they drop their briefcase or whatever if they don't have a home office. Where like if you come in right into the living room and you drop everything and you don't have a foyer or a hall closet to tuck things, then that's probably that chair at the corner of the room when you first walk in is going to have everything if there's no coat closet or at least a coat rack. You know, and then your space kind of, if your space doesn't function for you, then it gets stressful.
Right. It just sounds like there's a lot of planning and thinking that goes into this. It's just not like I want to buy some pillows.
Exactly. There is a ton of planning to things, and what people see on a design show or whatever, they see like the before and after. They don't necessarily see why they moved something. Like if you have, say like my house has 2 open rooms.
Okay.
My dining room and living room are open to each other.
Right.
But it's like if I entertained and I was more of a cook, maybe I would want my dining room to be the first room that you came into, because the kitchen's in the middle, but because I'm inviting people over more for me to cook for them, I might want my dining room to be the front room, so that, you know, if you have fancy windows on the front of the house, that when your curtains are open, that your chandelier is, you know, front and center for, you know, to be framed by the window.
So now here's an interesting topic: chandeliers. What's your view on overhead lighting?
Well, all lighting is important. You need it coming from different angles so that you're not casting shadows. The height of a chandelier or a pendant is important. It should be about 30 to 36 inches off of a table, so that it's high enough when you're standing that it's not going to be bumped into, and low enough so that it's not glaring you in the eye. You know, like there's a balance to everything. How high you hang your pictures and how low you hang your chandelier is very important. Like you don't measure it from the ceiling, because if you have a 9-foot ceiling and the majority of houses have an 8-foot ceiling, it's gonna like cast a shadow.
Oh, wow.
Or be shining right in your eyeballs that it's uncomfortable to sit in front of.
Right.
And if you are entertaining in a space, I highly recommend putting in dimmer switches.
Yes.
Because sometimes you need the light, you know. If you're using your dining room table that day to do a puzzle or to do some artwork, you might want full lighting. But when you have people over and you're entertaining and, you know, serving cocktails, maybe you don't want it seeming like they're getting interrogated with the light blaring in their eyes.
Yeah. Well, that's some mood lighting. You need some mood lighting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And by having that option, I tend to change, like anywhere I've ever lived, I change the bedrooms to have dimmer switches.
Yeah.
Regardless if they have overhead lighting or if it's a lamp that turns on when you flip the switch. It's helpful to, you know, when you go in at night, or if you wake up in the middle of the night to, you know, run to the bathroom, it's like you don't want to have to turn the light on full force and wake yourself up. You know, it's nice that it can turn on at 50%.
Right. What about?
And you could just go where you need to go without hurting yourself.
What about recessed lighting?
Some houses, like if you're building a house from new or you're renovating, recessed lighting is a nice way to make sure you have plenty of light without conflicting with the style of the room. You don't really have to worry. You know, and nowadays LED recessed lights, they don't take up a lot of space.
Yeah, right.
The bulbs last, you know, 20 years or so. So it's not like you have to climb up there and change them that often.
I'm in favor of recessed lighting.
Yeah, it's nice. It's a clean look.
Yeah.
But even if you're going to have recessed overhead lighting, it is nice to have a table lamp,
Oh yes, it is.
you know, in a nearby vicinity. Like if you're sitting at a chair to read, you don't
Oh yes.
necessarily want the shadow of your head on your page.
No, you don't you can't read by those guys. You just like for ambiance. But yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you.
Yeah, mixed lighting is always important. You know,
Uh,
if you're into art, and
yeah,
I know some of your stuff in other podcasts, you have fancy art hanging behind you and stuff.
right.
It's nice if you have, you know, if you have nice pieces that you enjoy, if you pin light them so that even if it's dark in the room and you're, you know, sitting on the other side of the room watching TV, if your artwork is still highlighted even when the rest of the room is mostly dark, it brings you joy
It makes
to
you feel
see,
good. Look at my
yeah,
stuff.
to see
Look at it. Look
pieces
at
that
it.
you love.
It looks good, man. Look at it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with you. That's cool, man. So well, again, like I'm not sure if people really get the full understanding of what you bring to the table. I mean, as I said earlier, I thought we could go a little deeper because there's so much that you have to give, and it's just really amazing. So you like the onion, you keep peeling and peeling and peeling and peeling here.
And
So
that's how interior design is. It's like
mhm,
there's not one thing. Like an interior designer has to have, you know, an idea of spatial awareness, the flow for how the family's going to function, the way that furniture looks good together. Depending on the size of the room is what the scale of the furniture might dictate.
right.
But just because you have a small room doesn't mean you should have 15 small items. You know, sometimes in a smaller room, a small scale sectional seats more people and has a nicer feel to a space than if you had a couch, a love seat, and a chair. You still
Mhm.
seating the same amount of people, but
Oh,
it makes
right,
the
because
space appear bigger because you have less arms, you know?
there's
You don't
there's
need to have everybody have an arm to where they sit.
there's less stuff to take up light.
Yeah, with light, there's your difference in your shadows. You know, everything's going to cast a shadow.
Mhm.
If your room is small, you would want something maybe with you would either want to put your TV on something that appears to be floating or mounted to the wall, because the more you can see the floor, the more space you're going to appear to have, even if it's a
Right.
tiny room. So, like if your couch has legs where you can see underneath the couch a little bit, as opposed to it being a cube that hits right at the floor and shuts your eye down, you know,
Ah, right.
2 feet after you come into the room.
That's true.
That kind of stuff, you know, is important for scale.
Yeah.
And the other end of it is if you have massive rooms, you're not going to put your furniture flat against the walls where you don't have conversation groups. Like even if your room is the size of a basketball court, you're going to need to put all your you want everything to kind of be conversation groups. So if your open floor plan is say like the size of a basketball court, you're going to want like a dining area with tables around it, maybe a sitting area with at least 2 chairs and a table, you know, places to be able to put something down, a drink or a book or a magazine. And then when it comes to the corner where your TV is, you know, you want to be within a certain distance to your television, depending on how large your TV is. You know, you can't be too close or too far. You know, even
Let's,
if the room supports a 70-inch TV, you don't want to sit 10 feet away from it or your eyes are going to be bugging.
so now let's talk about that now. They have a new wave of TVs, a new wave. Okay, they have a new wave of TVs, a new wave of wall coverings, wallpaper. They have those LED wallpaper things.
LED wallpaper?
Yeah, in other words, like it's very thin. It's about maybe a half inch thick. It's like maybe the diagonal is 48 inches or whatever. And what it does is it has like a LED wallpaper, like of a scene, and it just stays on that wall.
I'm
You
not
don't.
familiar.
It
I'm not
comes like
familiar with that.
okay. It
Because the
comes.
LED usually means it's lit up.
It is lit up.
Oh, okay.
It's electronic wallpaper. Just like you have in a TV.
Gotcha. I haven't had any need for that, so I'm not familiar with it.
Right. I don't know anyone who has. I've seen it on YouTube. I thought you might know. But anyway, so now the TV is important where you place the TV, even if you have a big space, right?
Yeah. You want to make sure that the light in the room is not casting a reflection where you're
Hmm.
not going to see the image at its best quality. So that will change, where you place your lighting, how you angle your television to your seating arrangement.
Now, have you seen a decrease or stabilization or increase of fireplaces?
Um, it's kind of like a personal thing. We don't need them for heat necessarily.
No.
So it's more an aesthetic thing.
Yeah.
So if people don't already have an existing fireplace, people are going towards electronic or gas fireplaces. An electronic fireplace still can give off heat and look beautiful without the commitment of, having to worry about venting, and even the ventless ones. It's like you don't have to worry about the fuel, the gel fuels that they use.
Hmm.
Or if people have kids, you don't have to worry about people burning themselves.
Right. Right.
They're streamlined. You can make it look like it has a big mantle and the same feel as a traditional fireplace, but you
Hmm.
don't have to. It can be as low profile as a picture frame, but still give you that ambiance of the flickering light and stuff.
So now here's a question for you. What is one of the I guess wasn't one of the more challenging design problems you had, and how did you solve it?
Well, actually, recently I was doing a remote design for someone,
Okay.
and I had given them 3 design ideas. They were having their bathroom, their master suite was being abated for mold,
Oh.
and the problem was obviously the mold, and the
Hmm.
mold was showing up on the back side of the shower wall in the master closet. So in the walk-in closet, they were starting to see green on the walls. So they had that abated, and then when they contacted me, it was kind of like, okay, well, the shower's gone. It's down to the studs in the shower area. All the mold has now been cleared. And what do we do from here? The question was, do we keep the footprint the way it is? Do we just make it pretty again? Or, do we take this opportunity while things are gutted to shift things around? So I gave them 3 options. One was to move the shower, to turn the toilet and to leave the sink where it was, and the other one was to move the sink and push the shower back and leave the toilet where it was. And basically, the 3 options were, move 1 thing, move 2 things, or move 0 things, so that your plumbing bill um, remains at a fair price point that you can handle. You know,
Okay.
part of it was being taken care of by insurance because of the mold, the homeowner's insurance.
Right.
And then anything they were changing was going to be out of pocket to them.
Hmm.
And the insurance only covers so much. So if you're changing and going, with fancy mosaic tiles and,
Yeah.
frameless glass shower doors, when your existing stuff that just got tore out was framed shower doors from, the 90s, then, there's a cost difference to that. So what happened is they picked a design, and then the contractor got involved, and then the husband's opinion came in. And then somewhere from choosing a design and going forward with that design, they decided they were going to take what they liked best out of each design.
Okay.
And what happens there is, if you don't have the interior design information, and you just think that we do it for fun and there's not real like rules about it. This is what happened. They enlarged the shower, which was one option. But when
Right.
I had enlarged the shower, we had pushed it against the back wall so that it wasn't like coming into the room when you walked in.
Mm-hmm.
It was turned and pushed to the back wall. So basically, your decorative tile would be your feature, but you'd be looking at the width of it. You know, like you'd see the whole like presentation of the whole long length of the room.
I see. Okay.
And from the design, and it's like when I do the e-design stuff, it's like I send them some ideas and I follow up by, you know, helping them pick colors and choose tiles. But essentially, they're becoming their own general contractor, or they're hiring a general contractor. But a lot of times, like the homeowner will be their general contractor and they hire a contractor who might be affiliated with a plumber and electrician. You know, they'll bring their own crew and do what the homeowner is asking for.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, essentially, I'm guiding the homeowner. But once you give them the design and you show them what tiles and what stores to shop in, they can sometimes think that this looks great, and then they try to modify things
So,
because
so,
they
so, so
think they
what?
can figure it out better.
So what
And what
happened in this
happened,
case?
yeah, what happened was the homeowner called me and she said, I think I made a mistake. And I said, oh, you didn't like the design you first chose? And she goes, no, we liked that. But then when the contractor came, they told us it was going to be $500 to change, to move the drain for the shower.
Mm-hmm.
So the husband and the contractor decided that they could keep making the shower large. They could keep, you know, the enlarged size of the shower, but by keeping it in place. And when she called me, I said, picture message me what you're talking about, because like I had a original picture of
Right.
what the room looked like, you know, ripped open. And when she showed me the picture, they had framed in the shower with like the concrete board.
Mm-hmm.
And what we were doing was incorporating the master suite to have a bathroom walk-in closet combo instead of having the two doors coming into the room.
Okay.
So what we had discussed over the phone was that the bedroom is small, and that to maximize space, it would make more sense to get rid of one of the doors. So you're either going to walk through the bathroom door and make a right and go into the closet area, or you're going to go through the closet area and make a left to go into the bathroom. And then it was kind of like a too many cooks in the kitchen thing, and they didn't copy me on things or include me when it came to dealing with the contractor. So the contractor fed them some ideas. The couple started taking his ideas and trying to incorporate it with the ideas they already liked that I gave them. And then what she called me with, and what the picture that she sent me was, basically they had turned their master bathroom plus walk-in closet, and when I saw the picture, it looked like a half bath with a closet that had a shower in it and a slither of a walk-in closet. It was barely usable. And I was like, okay, I'm sorry that you did that, because I'm like, you just chopped up the space, and the idea was to make to maximize your bedroom space by having less door frames. And then the idea was to have the bathroom feel larger. And now the way they put the shower, they had enlarged the shower, and it was basically the first thing that you walked into when you came in the doorway.
So let me ask you this, Dorene. I mean, that was a remote case,
Yeah.
but I mean, like, I understand how it is. Sometimes we do run across designers and architects who make these decisions that don't really seem to be real. And I'm sure that's what the contractor was telling the customer. But you're not responsible for that. You gave them what you said, and they acted on it on their own.
Oh yeah, but it's like what I showed them, the way I do like a remote design, or even if I do a consultation where I come to someone's house, if they're not willing to pay me to oversee everything,
Yeah.
then basically my job starts in the beginning. I give them a plan of action, and it's up to them to carry it out. And if they follow the plan, everything should basically follow to the floor plan that I provided, and spatially, like if we picked out kitchen cabinets, if I tell you what size the cabinets are supposed to be and you follow that, when it's done, your cabinets should touch wall to wall, and your appliances should fit at the end. But if you change things midway and don't know the reason that certain things are certain sizes, at the end it might be like, okay, now I can only fit an apartment size refrigerator because I made a bigger pantry cabinet.
Right.
So it's like there's reasons that I do things and that interior designers do things, and it's to balance everything. So it's like if you have, if you're a small family, you might only need, a 33-inch refrigerator or whatever. But if you're a larger family, you might want to go to a 36 or a 48.
Right. So
Where,
now,
and then you're incorporating, some more cabinets that go floor to ceiling, so they're pantry cabinets, because you have an island in the space for counter prep. So you don't really need that one spot of the room to have counter space. So you
right.
maximize the storage by going a 24 deep, going all the way up to the ceiling.
Well, I'm sure that they're getting their money's worth and more. And once again, how can people get in contact with you?
The easiest way is to call me, 973-229-3286. Or you can email me at destin, DESTIN, the number 4 interiors @live.com. You can also reach me straight through my through my website, which is destin4interiors.com.
Well, do you realize, Dorene, it's like we've been on here for about an hour now?
Did I answer all your questions?
No, but I mean, we had a good conversation,
You had asked me about ASID. That was one of
Okay,
the
you want to talk
questions you
about
had
that?
asked me.
Go ahead.
And
What
I'll
about
just say that I don't belong to any affiliations like that. ASID and IDS, the American Society of Interior Designers and Interior Design Society, they're basically clubs that people join for more recognition kind of thing. I do things more independently, but I do go to things that they host sometimes.
Okay.
But I just never felt the need to sign up, because literally all you're doing is paying to be a part of their club.
Yeah, I was in
There's a fee involved.
I was an allied member of the ASID. I think it was Northern New Jersey. It was all cool, but I think I got one or two jobs out of it.
But it's more of like a social club and networking with your fellow designers. It's
Yeah,
not
I mean,
necessarily the way that you meet your
no, I
future
mean, for you,
client.
it wouldn't make sense for you. It made sense for me. I'm a painting contractor. I can meet new designers. So now,
Yeah.
before we close out, I got a real hot question for you now. What is your color of the year?
Well, the color of the year, according to Pantone, is that purple color that they're.
Yeah,
what they're
and
calling
Benjamin
it.
Moore says what?
It's kind of, they go off of that. They might just call it a different name.
No, Benjamin Moore is caliente. It's a red.
Well, everybody changes each year. It's just a branding thing.
Oh yeah, I agree. To sell more paint.
Each year they're trying to push a different color. Last year's green, this year's purple. If Benjamin Moore wants to make it red, you're just basically going by the trends of fashion, and it's a way to get people to reinvest in their property.
Have you been using a lot of gray?
Gray's been important for a few years now. Beige has kind of taken the back seat,
Yeah.
and gray is more the neutral. As far as design goes, people are starting to turn a little bit more towards like a greeny gray. So like sage is coming back around, but less less green value to it and more grayed down.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So
Cool.
a more subtle sage is what's happening now.
Ah, right. Sounds inviting. So
Yeah.
again, Doreen, I want to thank you for coming on. Um, it's been a real interesting time for me. I've learned a lot, and I hope that people who listen to what you say will feel compelled, as I am, to like go to you for like any questions I might have for about interior design and decorating.
Yeah, it helps people, really interior designers. We're not here to necessarily, you know, charge a boatload of money to give you a space that looks like what we would put. It's really about saving you costly mistakes and
Yes.
getting you a space that reflects your personality, but the form and the function, follow each other so that it's not just pretty, but it works
So
for what you need it to
what
work
kind of
for.
what kind of people would you like to have to call you? What's your target market?
Well, I like people that like to collaborate with me. I'm not trying to dictate what goes in your home. At
Okay.
the end of the day, I come home to what looks good to me. And at the end of your day, I want you to come home to the space that reflects, your calm space.
And that way we keep America beautiful, right?
Absolutely.
And that's what it's all about, guys. We're here at Keeping America Beautiful. I'm your host, Bill Jordan. Special guest today is Dorene Mangels from, where are you again? What's that city you're from?
Kearney.
From
I'm in
Kearney, New
Kearney,
Jersey.
but
Yeah.
I do all surrounding areas, so I
All
travel.
right. Okay. Just one last time, give us your phone number, please.
973-229-3286.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate you coming in. And we're finished.